Hey guys, it's me, Ronick. How's it going? How's this lovely Wednesday we're having? Today I got an interview with a photographer named Lilia. I believe that's her name. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. You should definitely check her out. Anyways, today we're going to be talking with her about what's her job entail. How does she do the job of holding the camera for someone, getting in the hate, and then going back to being a mom? We're going to be discussing that with her about how she can do all of it. I hope you enjoy. Check me out on my socials down in the description and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you if you want to come on, if any of you got a story to tell. Joy. Hey,
Hi.
I'm glad to finally get to meet you. I saw your artwork when after I messaged you, and I thought it was great. So I had to.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So I know we're rushing into it a little bit, but how do you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Lilia, and I'm with Lilia Creativity Photography, and I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so in the state of Washington.
And what got you into photography?
Well, it started with my senior pictures. That was like probably I don't know, 20 years ago, so you can tell probably how old I am now. Um, yeah, and from there on, I actually got a little camera, like not the ones that we have now, but I started taking pictures of friends and my brothers and submitted them for like a modeling gig. He actually got called. It was really interesting. So they liked my pictures, and from there on, I just kept taking them, um, but not that seriously as I am now.
So like you just did it for fun when you were like a senior?
Yeah, just for fun, like a
What
hobby.
made what made you like you because you're obviously still doing it. What made you
Yeah.
keep going?
So I did it on the side, and then I stopped while I was in college, and then when I actually started working, I kept going a little bit, but I started with my new photography business, which was called back then Lily B Photography, and then I got into modeling for a few years, and then I decided I just keep liking photography more than that, and I keep editing even the pictures I receive from other photographers. Then I got married, had kids, and I'm like, well, I need to still keep doing something. And so I went back into photography again, but I went into product photography for a while. And then after that, I decided I want to do full time family in fashion. That's really kind of where it started with the fashion part, and then kids.
When did you kind of switch over?
From product to families, I think it was within the same year. I did a few months of product, and it was more for me just to kind of like prove myself that I can do it, see my skills, and then like practice on my editing. But no one really like in terms of like making money or customers, there wasn't a lot of people like demand, and so I switched to family, and there was like a lot of where I live. There's a lot of maternity shoots. Like there's a lot of pregnancy going on, so I start with maternity and children. So that's where I did the switch. I'm like, there's more income in this area.
Did you kind of get the idea also because you would have wanted that since you have kids of your own?
Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah. I had an 8-month-old baby, and so I was already taking pictures of him on the side just for fun. And I'm like, well, I do product photography, but I'm also taking pictures of my baby, and so I thought, I could also just put it together, and offer it to people. I didn't have a camera during that time though. I was taking it with just my cell phone. So I was just I started to just promote myself just for fun. I'm like, hey, I'm taking pictures, for free on my cell phone, and I was really good at editing. And there was like two people that were really interested, which I thought, well, normally people don't like cell phone pictures, but they liked it. And then like I told my husband, I think I need to get a camera, and then it just slowly went from there.
Were there any big influences that got you got you interested? Like you said, senior year, like when you actually first got started. But like, were there any big influences that kind of kept you going?
Good question. I don't know. I guess I always had like really. I always loved beauty. I grew up playing a lot of Barbie, so I always felt like I was just captivated by fashion. I just loved like art because I'm also an artist. I always did do art, so I paint a lot, and so it was it was just part of me. Like just being creative and artistic was always a part of me. So I switched from doing artwork by hand to pictures, kind of on and off. But there was just it's just that some part of me just doesn't turn it off. So it's like there's seasons where I kind of get a little burned out. After I take a while, I just feel like, oh, I get an idea. I have to do some art. I have to do this concept. And then I go back again to photography. So it's like a unending, awesome cycle.
Like you said, you did two different things kind of before switching, and I went over. You did like you did families and all that. What kind of photography is your favorite? Like, what's your like? What kind of like is your niche?
Oh gosh. Um I cannot say one. I do various styles of photography, but I would say it's always in competition. Fashion photography with children fantasy fine art photography.
Fantasy fine arts? Like, what
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
mean
it's
by?
fine art. So it's like it's I don't know if you've seen in Pinterest or Instagram. It's like you take a picture of a child or normal family, right? And then like besides returning them like their normal edits that I normally would do, like you would see photographers do, I changed some like I would probably grab a few pictures from maybe a few that I really liked from that shot, and I would change the background. Like I would say like there'd be a little girl and I make her look into like a princess, or a little boy and make him look like a superhero. Like that
Or
composition.
like, or like a unicorn or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very creative. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of gear do you usually use?
Well, so I'm a Canon person. So there's Nikon and some other ones, but I do Canon. So I have an 80D camera, two of them, because I do wedding photography on the side. So I learned that it's always good to have two cameras in case one's breaks down, then I have a backup. But so I have two cameras, the same 80D, and then I have two. At this point, I'm transitioning into lenses, so I have a 50 lens and then an 85, which are for portrait, and then I have reflectors. I'm also investing. I'm in the process actually of creating a studio because I'm mostly an outdoor photographer. Buying also like a 35 wide angle, which is a must, and then a 135. I'm debating if I want to get a 135, which is like a telescope but portrait photography, or a 200 700, which is like a really big heavy one that's perfect for it's portrait, but it's also perfect for weddings, like to take them from far away. The price is definitely more expensive, so I don't know which one I'm gonna get, but I'm definitely saving for something like that.
It's more expensive. Like, what's your goal you're kind of going for?
Mm, well, my goal is to have the berry of the best, because if I don't have like what I actually need, since I do so many different styles of photography, it really disables me from really creating what I want. So I was working with a 50, and I can't really capture the whole subject or the people, and so I have to do a lot of Photoshop in order to, or now that we have a with AI, do a little bit of generative fill to make it more, to expand it more, which is something that I would naturally would get if I had a 35. So right now I'm kind of like struggling a little bit while I get that.
Looking back, is there anything you would want to do different?
Yeah, I would have. So I have invested also a lot in props. So I don't really. I when I started, a lot of families would say, "Hey, do you have any props that you're gonna bring for the session?" Or some moms who do maternity, like for maternity shoot, they would ask, "Do you have any dresses or anything like client closet clothes, stuff like that?" And so I'm like, "No, I just have literally my camera and two lenses. That's all I have." But of course, I would give them a good photo shoot session. But I didn't really have any of that. So if I were to go back, I would probably invested a little bit on props, just because my focus was kids and they have to have something in their hands, or have a few dresses just to make sure that my portfolio looks a little bit nicer, because there's a lot of families that don't really have a lot of clothes, like when it comes to photography, like that actually wouldn't make them look nice. A lot of times families really don't know, so one of the things that I've changed is I like to give them ideas like what to wear if they ask. Even if they don't ask, sometimes I do, just because I want them to look beautiful, feel beautiful, but also to make sure that my photography stays consistent with the same look.
To make it look nice and professional.
Yeah, cohesive. Yes.
Yeah, I understand that. Have you ever had to deal with difficult clients?
Yes. um, I would say, okay, so I don't know if I said what, or maybe you're gonna ask me. I might be jumping ahead. Like what type of photography I do.
Well,
Um,
we could talk about that
okay,
either way.
sure. Yeah, so I do, let me see if I remember. So I do obviously, how is it, maternity, family, which is family lifestyle, newborn, senior pictures, fashion, which is like more like for influencers or people who want to start a portfolio that actually want to go into modeling. I do branding, which is helping businesses stand out with their products. And I have not tapped into real estate, but eventually I'll get there. Um, oh, and of course weddings, engagement pictures, weddings. And then I did for a while boudoir, which is like it's mostly like I used it that more for like people who were getting married as a gift for their spouse, or for women who want to like feel beautiful, like moms that are done having kids and their body's not the same, so it's like a love yourself sort of session. Not really much with not in the nudity area, but still keeping it safe. That's probably where I had more problems, just because in that area there's a lot of women who are very insecure. And so you photograph what you see, and of course I enhanced and made it, according to how they like it. But I would always get people complaining, or they would not want they want me to change so much. Like, oh, like say I would charge $300 and they wanted work that was like $500. So I'm like, it's way too much than what it's in the contract. So I would not do, I would not go. I would just do what we sign, and of course I would do a little extra just because I guess that's the way I am. But they would not be satisfied. So it just became too much work for me. And also, even though there was one client that did everything she wanted, she was still not satisfied. So I'm like, I just can't do that. I don't have a lot of time just for that specific client. I have like other people that I need to work for. Yeah. So that's
Was
probably my one complaint.
is there ever a time that you like had to satisfy your guests, like you could not let them down?
I think that would be more for wedding. Like there's no way to recreate a wedding. So that's where I probably work the hardest. Um, just make sure, because that's such a special day, and it's not just for the bride, it's for the groom as well. Even though I negotiate work more with mostly with brides. But yeah, that's something like where I have to guarantee go like above and beyond. Yeah.
Could you describe like what's the routine for like weddings? Like you don't have to go through, you don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go detail to detail, but like what is it like?
I'm gonna say that weddings is probably one of my hardest areas in terms of competition. There's a lot of photographers that do weddings, and so since I'm a little bit more of the fine art area, it's not like my niche, I guess, in that area. Weddings, of course I still edit like a lot of people like the standard form, but usually I market myself. I hire models who like couples who would pose for me so I can take pictures and be able to promote them, promote those pictures, unless I can get the consent of previous couples who actually did take weddings and then use those. And so then I do have a Zola account, where I have showcased all my bridal stuff. There's just brides. And so I do have clients that do communicate through there, and then I tell them a little bit of my what I do. I have packages they get to choose, or I get to cater according to like their needs. Of course, I have a price that I don't go any lower than what I normally market, because I have to also make money. But I do understand people's situation and budget, so I try to keep it reasonable when I see it. And so the routine is, communicate with them, and then I said a phone call or a video call, or maybe we do actually end up meeting so they get to see me. I offer a complimentary mini engagement session, just because it's an opportunity for me to get to know them, feel comfortable, and bond. And so after that, then I give them a contract. To fill it out, and then a few months later, I send a questionnaire, make sure there's no last minute changes, or if there is, I need to know. And I usually end up arriving an hour before the time that we actually agreed upon, just so it can give me, time to not get lost, some personal mental preparation, make sure all my gear is, again, I make sure everything's done like 2 days before, and then I check again in the morning before I leave, and then in the morning that I'm actually there to make sure like all my SDD cards are there, my lenses are clean, all the stuff. I believe that's it. And then of course start taking pictures through the whole day.
Is the Zola account like for scheduling? Like what is it?
It's so it's two things. It's for brides, couples to do like their registry for people to, but it's also for vendors where people who are photographers do venues or or DJ. They all promote their work there, and they have pictures. So people are always, like, oh, I need a photographer. I'm gonna look on Zola, and so like, if you stand out or you have a lot of clients, then obviously they're gonna find you first, and someone who doesn't. So there's that competition of making sure they always stand out, which is a lot of maintenance work.
How much time do you usually spend on like a regular day project?
It depends on the style of photography. So if it's like if I'm doing a fashion photo shoot, that takes 3 hours. It depends on the client and how long they want. So if I'm doing it for a brand, or an hour and a half. And then of course the editing time, which a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, why is your price so high? I mean, I am very moderate in price. I'm not that expensive, but there's a lot of things I do in the behind the scene that usually clients don't see. So 2 hours taking pictures or an hour, depending on again what type of photography. If it's a family, it's an hour. If it's a brand, it's like an hour and a half. If it's photo shoot, is about 2 hours. If it's newborn, 2 hours. If it's a wedding, 6 or 8 hours. And then the editing usually takes me 4 hours if I go into detail with Photoshop. If I just do a generic editing, like, okay, the client doesn't want very much, like, like over Photoshop, they just want something simple. I just use Lightroom and I get that done within an hour.
Is inflation like affected you not like it hasn't since prices are higher than ever now?
Yes, it has. Because I travel a lot, there's a lot of gasoline that I
Hmm.
have to take into consideration, which sometimes I'm really bad at calculating that because when I offer my prices, I do travel like sometimes an hour away. So that's like $10 of gas or even 15 on top of the price that I give them to do my shoot, which is also the time that I also need for edit when I'm back home. So it's a lot of money. And then of course I have to pay taxes. So then it's like $2,000 or something of taxes, which I have to make sure that I keep that in mind, because not like, say I charge 150, doesn't mean that 150 are for me. Out of that, it's gasoline, there's taxes. So I really take like back home 100 from that session. um, Plus maintaining my marketing. So like my marketing, I pay for, um, you know, for software, website, training, um, also like a lot of actions and like Photoshop things that I use for to make my pictures better, presets. um yeah, and of course gasoline and equipment, and also if they break I need to get new equipment. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind it. It's more money because of inflation, so it's more expensive.
Wow, it seems like it's a big job just for one person.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, again, this started as a side gig just for fun, and honestly at this point I think it's turned into a full-time job, besides being a mom, doing homeschooling, and a new thing that I'm going to be doing on the side, which I'll share in a bit.
How old are you, if you don't mind me ask?
I just turned well, I don't say just turned 35, but 35 pretty recently.
You look pretty good for your age, so congrats.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Without sleeping enough. Yeah, thanks.
How do you balance all of that, your personal life, everything?
That's a struggle, I think, for a lot of photographers. I I've been going through some process of making sure not to kind of get overwhelmed. But balancing, I juggle right now with my husband. He works, so when he works from home, which is one time a week, is where I usually book a lot of my photo shoots, or during the weekend. So I try not to overdo it. So like I try to do like choose 4 days out of the whole month where I'm gonna do pictures. So like for example, like if I have Saturday, I'm gonna do like 5 mini shoots on that Saturday. So I get a lot of clients just in that day, instead of doing one per day or something like that. So balancing is, I'll wake up, make sure the kids are fed, the house is clean, and then set aside at least 4 hours for me to do editing, and then check obviously my emails, make sure I'm up to date. Also keeping up with social media, which I think that's where it takes a lot of anxiety. Where I sometimes have to hire someone to kind of help me once in a while, as well as babysitting, which is also more money in there. But there are times where it gets really overwhelming. That's where I just stop completely. I'm like, I need a one day for myself, away from everyone, because I am an introvert too, so that's kind
Yeah.
of hard.
Hiring people to help like a way you like keep to like
Yeah, like not to burn out. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it also helps. Like sometimes my parents will take care of my children, just so at least my husband and I have like one a day for a date. Because I mean, I also have a personal life, and sometimes it's so easy to forget about my personal life. I mean,
Of course.
not just like, spouse or like time with the kids, but just for myself, like working out, make sure I'm alive.
Is there any resources that you would consider sharing or that you recommend?
Like what? What do you mean?
Like, I don't know, just anything that's helped you over the years, like with filmmaking, personal life, anything you want to share.
Yeah, well, one thing is, I've been working with a lady who does corsets, Little Miss Maiden. She has very similar vision as I do in terms of fashion, like in that area. Just could kind of guide me as a mentor once in a while, just to see,
Uh-huh.
like, am I doing the right way, the right thing? Reaching out to other people who are good at business marketing, to check on me. I'm like, am I doing what I need to do? Because I also have a degree in business management, not marketing, but which has actually helped a lot with my business in terms of, like, my artistic side and also my business side, joined them together, and Lilia Creativity was born with that. But I mean, I'm also very much of like a go-getter. I don't really know how to relax. I'm very high energy. But the biggest resource, going back to topic, is knowing how to delegate my work with other people.
Have do you are you good at that, or are you still learning how to delegate with people?
I can say I'm like, from 1 to 10. 10 would be like I am like so good. I think I'm at 7. I'm still like pretty okay. I can do better though.
Have you ever considered filmmaking, like, because you already have the camera? Have you ever considered doing? Because I'm on the filmmaking side, and
Oh,
I just
nice. No, well, no, actually, I can't say I didn't. I did try, and I was learning the software, the one that Adobe offers. I did do my introduction or my bio. I don't remember how to do it anymore. If I were to go back, I was actually gonna get a camera pro or a GoPro, but I feel like just, you know, it wouldn't hurt. It's just like at this moment of my life, I have so much going on that I don't have time to even learn. I have to keep up learning what I'm doing. I think maybe when my kids are bigger, I mean older, and I have this a little bit more under my belt, I might go into that just because I know there's more demand. I feel like there's more females in the photography area than males, and there's like more males in the videography. I don't know, like it's
yeah.
just my observation.
Are there days that you go out, you shoot for yourself, like when you feel like it, or is it just like like you mentioned, you just
I have to remember that photography for me is like my escape of creativity. Like that's where I get energy and joy. But how I said, a lot of people experience that when your hobby turns into your job is no longer your hobby.
yes,
So I still try to keep it as a hobby. So like, okay, I'm gonna photograph people as for money. Obviously, I don't do just for money. It's also fun and joyful when connecting with others. But there's sometimes where I have ideas. I'm like, I'm just gonna go and drive around, and have fun, and then I end up scoping an area. I'm like, oh, I should come here next time with someone. Or I have an idea. I'm like, I want to do this sesh or photo shoot of myself, and so I would have my husband take a picture of me, and like spontaneous, not even planned, just for fun. And a lot of times those pictures are really popular, which is really funny because I'm like, it was not even planned or anything. And a lot of times I don't really promote the pictures I take for myself because sometimes I want to keep a little bit of privacy just because I, publicize everything I do. So, yeah.
like if you take the photos, how come you don't share them? Or-
Oh, because some pictures are like, if I wanted to, some pictures for my family, like,
Oh,
like your family album, you don't want to
yeah, I
share
get
every
that.
little thing. Yeah.
Are there any shoots that you were working on at the moment?
Yes. So right now I have 2 sessions. They're about Okay, when I take pictures, I take about 270 pictures in 1 hour.
Oh
And
wow.
then I know that a lot of people use AI now to sort them out or collate, that's the word. I don't, because okay, so I could use it, but not all the way, because there's certain pictures that only your eyes and they just speak to you, that wouldn't speak to a machine. So I literally do it all by hand. And so I kind of like old school a little bit. So I have 2 sessions, so about 400 pictures basically that I need to work on. And so those my Adobe was crashing with my computer, so I wasn't able to get to them. So after this, actually, I'm going to be doing that, because I have my clients really anxious to wait. Because one thing that I didn't mention is I am published photographer, so a lot of my pictures have been published in a magazine. And so right now in the area of fashion, I've been published in 5 front covers, which is amazing because for me that's almost like a gold star, knowing I am actually going the right direction. This is cool. People actually like my stuff,
Yeah.
because not every client likes, fine art. or whatever. But there's always a group that do. So that's where I get like okay, I mean, this is not for everyone, or fashion is not for everyone, but there's like a niche for every group of people, and so that's why I kind of like make sure that I keep the attention of different group of people so they can keep like watching my business grow. So target market different customers. So the next project that I'm working on is this weekend. I have two sessions. So one is going to be a retro pinup maternity shoot, which is not your typical photo shoot, which is going to be fun. And then I'm doing a smoke in the woods, a bunch of ladies wearing black with smoke bombs. So kind of like giving that vibe of October.
How come the maternity one's different? Like, what's different about it?
Well, the difference is a lot of maternity sessions, I don't know if you've seen, are usually wearing like most women are wearing like these long fluffy dresses, spring, very gentle. And so for me to stand out, I do those too, obviously, but to stand out a little bit, I also want to offer like a difference, not like your typical photo shoot, which can be intriguing for some people. So for this, it's someone who is a model who's pregnant also. But uh, I will be promoting that picture to see if there's anyone who's interested. Because there's a lot of people don't really have ideas other than just your standard photo shoots or JCPenney photo shoots. But like when you see creative ideas out there, you're like, oh, that's actually cool. I want to do that.
Have you ever gotten your own photo shoots? Or...
So the fun thing about photography is that I don't really have a lot of pictures of myself other than when I modeled because I'm always behind the lens, but or behind the camera. But I do collaborate with other photographers, so we swap. It's like I take pictures of them and they take pictures of me, so I don't have to pay, which is really cool.
Is there a favorite piece of yours? It doesn't have to be just what we talked about. Like,
Um, yeah, the retro photo shoot. I don't know why. I just love pictures in that era. Like there's just something beautiful about it. So I'm doing those, and I also I guess one more. You said one, but I'm gonna give you two. Mermaids. I've been doing magical mermaids. Usually you see adult women in it, but I've been doing it targeting it to like more children, like little kids. And
yeah.
so a lot of people are asking me like, because I offer hair. I mean, I offer makeup and props, but now I also offer to the tails, the clothes. So they just yeah, the whole packet. So I just tested it out this year and it seemed like there was a lot of demand, but I was at the very end of the summer, so I didn't get to book as much, but definitely gonna do that next year. So besides taking pictures, I also do retouch. So I retouch pictures and like before and after kind of stuff. And I also do like for instance, like if you're in a wedding and your grandpa died or your grandma died and she wasn't there, I can put them there, which is like a memory. They call memorial photography.
Like old black and white photos into like colored, or like what do you mean? Like I know you what mean the after and
Yeah, yeah,
before,
yeah.
but like
Well, I can do those. I can restore old pictures into new pictures. But besides that, I also I can do a photo composition where I would add a person that was not there and put them there, like if someone was deceased. So make it look like they were part of the wedding. And I've done that before as a surprise for my wedding couples, which is very emotional. Yeah.
what do you plan on doing for like is photography your long time goal or like
Uh, well, I was just thinking about that yesterday. I feel like right now I'm still growing. So just keep going. And then once I get there, I'll get more ideas. And then because something about me is that I do not like things that are like mundane, you know. That's why I'm a very project oriented person and it has to be different. But I love being professional in what I do, but being creative and make sure things are always different so I don't get bored because I get bored very easily. I mean, like I change my closet all the time. Like I get bored with the same clothes. So I'm like same thing with my work. So that's why I like to switch things off. Like right now, I'm focusing a little bit more in modeling and children fine art. Next year, my focus might be more in weddings. I don't know. It depends how I feel, but I feel like photography is just part of me. No matter where I go, it's just always comes back. I get to explore. For instance, like getting myself published in a magazine was not something I thought I could do. But after working and being encouraged, like, you know, you can submit this, I did, and I got accepted. And I'm like, okay, let me try this other photo shoot. And I got accepted. I'm like, you know, so I went from there. I'm like, okay, now I know I can. Not all the time, obviously, I'm going to be accepted, but I'm like, I feel like I'm capable. So I like being challenged and working under pressure too, which is weird. Well, could I add something?
sure, why not?
Sure. Okay. All right. So right now, so I got selected. So to not get bored, I entered a pageant called Mrs. Washington Petite. So I got selected. So I'm Mrs. Washington representing the state, and my platform is working with photographing children, orphan children. So that's a charity where I take pictures for free, and two other things is capturing their milestones, and also, like, their senior pictures or first day of school, and also those pictures help for kids who are still in foster to kind of enhance who they are, tell a story, and help them be selected to be in a home. So that's my new project at this point.
Last thing, how do you believe like photographers should be? Like, what do you think your idea of one should be?
It should be someone who has photography is their passion, but not just photography. Working with people is their passion. Someone who is flexible, understanding, and professional. Just someone who just really likes what they do, because there's a lot of photographers just that do it for the money. Of course, we all need money, but it's also, you also want to make sure that you really capture people, and someone who's just like who has ideas, who is creative, who's not very like cookie cutter. Like, this is a pose, this is a pose. Like, someone who's like versatile and like ready to make changes, who goes along with the moment. So yeah.
You get 15 seconds to
Okay.
share a website, company, resources,
Yeah.
anything your heart desires. Go.
Lilia Creativity, www.com. That is my website, and you can find me also on Facebook and Instagram, which is at Lilia Creativity. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you want to come back, I'm open to talk about anything.
Sure.
It was great to meet you.
Yeah, same. All right, we'll
Yep.
keep in touch. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Chicka chicka boom, chicka 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 boom, boom boom, chicka chicka chicka. Check me out every other Wednesday. Enjoy. Bye.